Hello, dear students. Hope everybody is safe during these COVID times. It's really so good that all of you are responding so well to the classes going on even during the summer break. Moreover, your parents' enthusiasm to let the classes go on and let you be engaged in some good work is really good. That's why I'm here again today with a very powerful story before you.
Which is going to motivate you, encourage you to face all the fearful chapters of your life very fearlessly. Of course, you guessed right. I'm going to take up Deep Water with you today. Deep Water is a story, it's an autobiographical excerpt taken from William Douglas's book entitled Of Men and Mountains. Now, something about the writer. William Douglas was born in Maine, Minnesota, USA on October 16, 1898. He was, though he was poor, yet he was very competitive by spirit. You will come to know about his this competitive spirit very soon in the story when we go through it one by one. And he was first when they were settled in he was born, they were there in Minnesota. Then his father died when he was very young. He was just 6 years old. Then his mother took him and other children to Yakima, and they settled over there. Yakima is a town in Washington, and he started his studies over there in Yakima, and then he graduated from a college in Yakima, and later he took up teaching as his profession. He was not satisfied with teaching, and soon he switched over to legal profession, where he gained a lot of popularity. He was a good friend and advisor to President Roosevelt of America, and though he was known to be one of the youngest jurists of Supreme Court of America, and he died in the year 1980. Now, about this story, I would like to present a mind map of this story before you, because children, you must be knowing that mind map is a graphical representation of the story in a very concise manner. So when we are doing the story and learning about the main points, it's very easy to recall, retain, and later revise them at the time of need. So let's see what more is there in the story. The story starts at a note which tells that William Douglas's life was something shaky just in the boyhood. This story goes right from childhood to later to boyhood and later to when he conquers his fear. And what is the fear he has got? This is hydrophobia, the fear of water. Why does he develop this fear? This we have to know. In the story, it has been told that William Douglas was fascinated by water initially. He had a passion towards swimming, but his mother would generally dissuade him. He was the darling of his mother. He was one of the favorite children of his mother, and she would fondly call him treasure. So mother would dissuade William Douglas from going into Yakima River for swimming, and she would tell him about the stories of drowning, which unfortunately just got embedded in his mind, and somehow he started developing an aversion towards water. This aversion towards water was confounded when one day he, along with his father, had gone in California beach, and while they were there, he was swept over by a huge wave. He was buried under the water, and he felt very, very scared. This was the first time that he started developing aversion towards water. He started developing hatred towards water. When father saw him getting buried, he started laughing. But when children develop some fear during their initial years, this gets very badly imprinted on their mind. That's what happened to William Douglas. So when after that, when they shifted over to this Yakima place, what he does, he started, at that time Washington had a lot of water bodies, and children of his age, boys of his age, would generally learn swimming. Obviously, when boys around you, when girls around you want to do something, you also feel that I should also do it. So he wanted to swim. He started preparing for that, since he was keen to learn swimming. So he started preparing for that. He decided to get a pair of water wings. Water wings is a device which you wear as an armband, and which lets you remain afloat in water and you don't drown. So initially, though he was a bit afraid of water, but somehow this water would call him back to itself, and he would tend to feel something attracted towards water. Initially, he started trying to imitate others and try to go for swimming. For this, since mother said you don't have to go to Yakima River for going for swimming, so what did he do? He found an alternate in the form of YMCA swimming pool. And YMCA, children, you must be knowing, stands for Young Men's Christians Association. And he thought that this is a better option, because first thing was it was safe. Second thing was it was not so deep. Its depth was its drop was gradual. That means from one end it was just 2 to 3 feet, and the deepest end was up to 9 feet. So that was not a big depth. So then there were also instructors over there. So he felt secure over there, and he started learning swimming by imitating other boys over there. One day what happens? Once he's there near the swimming pool, he's sitting by the edge of the swimming pool. Nobody else is around, and he starts he must be thinking that let me go and swim. And one more thing was there with William Douglas was that children, he was not so happy with his body stature. His legs were very thin, and he would feel bad just going naked into the swimming pool in his swimsuit with showing his legs. So one day he was just sitting alone over there, and very soon what happened, a big boy came there. He was bullying him, and what did he do? He looked like an 18-year boy, as William feels by giving his description. And then he sees that the boy comes near him and just tries to make fun with him, picks him up and says, "Hey, Sikini, how would you like to be ducked into water?" And with this, he drops him down into the deeper end of this pool. When Douglas gets inside water, he is very badly terrorized, and he lands down in a sitting position on the last depth of the water. When he lands down, before that he is terribly shaken. But one thing you have to remember, that he was not out of wits. He was very alert. While getting down into the water, he was thinking of the plans of coming out of water. So the first attempt he makes in order to come out of this water is that he thinks, when I touch the bottom of this water swimming pool, I will hit it fast, and I will pop up like a cork in a bottle, and then I'll lie flat on the surface and then paddle towards the edge of the pool. This way I'll save myself. It was very easy said than done, because this was for the first time he was getting down deep into the water of the pool. So he could not succeed in coming out of water. This is not all. He tried second time to come out of water. Now he was too exhausted. He tries to come up, but he feels paralyzed. He's stiff. His body is rigid. Somehow he reaches surface. His eyes and nose are out of water, but he can't get enough strong. He can't pull up towards the upper end of the water. and he finds very soon that he has drifted again to the lower end of the pool. Then he makes one more third attempt, and what does he do? This time he sees that let me try it and let me come out of water. And when he's planning to come up, he sees that he's too exhausted. His legs have become like logs of wood. He cannot come up and he's totally panicky, and very soon he's feeling as if he's losing. And then there's a total blackout in his mind. He cannot remember anything. Only one thing he feels, that something like mother's tender arms are holding him, and very soon he goes into oblivion. That is, he forgets. Oblivion means total forgetfulness. He forgets where he is. He loses all his consciousness, and the thing ends over there. This way he really is very close to death, he feels so. And next what happens is, when after this third attempt he failed, he went into oblivion. Now he, after some time, he wakes up. What does he find? He has been taken outside the pool by some boys, and he's lying on his stomach, he's vomiting. And when he sees the boy is there who had thrown him into the water, and he tells him, oh, I'm sorry, I did not know that you will feel it so bad. I was just kidding with you. And this made him feel very uncomfortable. Now he's trying to get up. He wants to reach home. Somehow he reaches home, but that is with much difficulty. The after effects of this mishap, of this misadventure, were that when he reached home, he did not feel like eating anything. He was feeling pained a lot. He could not even get up on his legs. And the worst part of it all is that he was afraid of water. He could not stand the sight of water even. This happened for many days. Days passed on, and he was so scared of water. And one day what he felt was, since boys of his age were enjoying everything, every water sport, he realized one day that what is happening to me. So though he was traumatized, he was hurt badly by this misadventure, but he was not defeated, children. This is the biggest part of the thing. He was not defeated. He felt that I'm losing all the pleasures of water sports. He saw his friends going for pleasure trips, going for canoeing, boating, fishing, and he felt, why shouldn't I do it? So somehow an urge was there inside his mind that I should also learn swimming. And to make this happen, what did he do? He hired an instructor. So the instructor's role is very, very important in the whole thing, because instructor makes him, builds him into proper swimmer. But before he tends to get an instructor, it's not easy to make a deal with him, because he has got such a great scare of water, and it's very difficult for the instructor to to lead him to become a big swimmer. So instructor comes, he coaches him for hours, days, weeks, and months together. How does he do it? What does the instructor do? Instructor tries to attach a rope to a belt put around him. Rope runs upwards towards a pulley. There's an overhead cable, and on one hand there's a rope which is held by the instructor, and this keeps William Douglas safe and secure, and he lets him go inside the water, go just back and forth in the water. This is only that he does with him, so that he can carry on with it for some days. This doesn't happen for a few days only. This goes on for many months. Rather, this going back and forth, this activity takes around 3 months, and he makes him to feel secure in water in 3 months by making him go back and forth by holding the rope with his hands. Sometimes what he does, he just lets the rope loose, and when the rope is let loose, William finds himself in a panic, because when he goes underwater, he is reminded of the same situation which he felt when he was inside the pool. You know, when he was making the third attempt in the pool to come up on the surface of the water, he was feeling so panicky that he felt that the water is turning yellowish and that he wants to hold on to anything. He finds that there's a rope. This is all his hallucination, because he wants somehow to come out of water, and he cannot hold on to anything. Finally, he drops down and he goes into oblivion. And here, when the instructor is teaching him to go back and forth, and when he lets loose the rope, William Douglas once again gets a panic attack. But somehow the instructor, what does he do? He tells him later that now there's a time to learn inhaling and exhaling underwater. And children, you know that these are two big facts. If you learn these two things, you are almost half done, because you have to know that you have to inhale underwater. Inhale means breathing in, and when you breathe in, you have to breathe in through the nose, because you cannot breathe in through the mouth. You will swallow water and you will get down. This is what had happened to him when he had fallen into the pool. So he told him how to inhale underwater, how to exhale underwater, and then he could see that he was learning well. His stiffness of limbs and his stiffness of the body, which was there earlier, had given rise to flexibility. Now that he was doing well, he could feel that he was doing well. And he felt that now this is time that I should say bye-bye to my coach. He says, my instructor was finished, but I was not. So instructor gives him a green signal that it's okay, you have learned swimming now. But he wanted to test. He was not having that much of confidence that he has learned swimming. So before he could depart with his coach, he once again tried to swim in the pool without in his absence. And he could see that when he was there in the pool, tiny, minuscule traces of that panic terror would come back to him, and he could remember all those things once again. So, once again, he tried to shed off the fear. He again tried to go inside, swim inside the pool. And when he was confident that he has won it over, he started raising his bar. He started for the final test because he wanted to challenge himself further. Is it that I've become a swimmer, or just I'm doing it with the help of my instructor? So what he did, he then started exposing himself to better water bodies. I told you in the beginning that there were many water bodies which the children of his age enjoyed swimming in. So he thought that now let me go towards Lake Wentworth. That was a lake there, and he went there. And you know, children, when he was in the middle of this lake, what would happen? He just put his head underwater, and once again he was reminded of the whole terror, of the whole trauma that he had faced in his while he was there in the pool. But there was a difference now. It was a different thing now, because when he was feeling terrorized, he shooed away this fear. He laughed at it and started saying, "Oh, Mr. Terror, what are you going to do with me?" And this is somehow, he must have spoken like this. And then this was for the first time he felt that I am not going to be subdued by this terror of water. And so he came back. Then this is not only one thing where he tested himself. Then he went to Titan River, then he went to Meadows Glacier. There he camped, and there he started doing all sorts of swimming in everywhere where he could feel scared, but he never felt so. He even went to Warm Lake. Warm Lake was near Yakima itself, and he remembered that it was in this Warm Lake when earlier on his family physician, who was Doug Corpon, who was also a very good swimmer, he used to swim over there. And that time William Douglas would feel, if I would also be able to swim in this warm lake. And today he finds himself that he is able to swim like no carbon in this warm lake, and this way he feels that he has conquered his fear of water. He gives a cry of victory, and their Gilbert peak was there. It returned, it echoed his cry, and he could feel that he has emerged as a winner. And then he got the great realization that is what is the theme of this story. The theme of the story is that all we have to fear is fear itself. This was spoken by his friend, that was President Roosevelt, in one of his addresses, when he said, I quote, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And this is what he came to realize practically today, that it's only the fear of death that keeps us away from doing things. And when he was, how did he conquer this fear? Because he had seen both the two things. He had seen the fear of death and the sensation of dying. And he tells us that it is only the fear that is to be controlled. Then you will have no fear of anything. Because once you die, life is peaceful. That there's nothing to worry about, nothing to bother about. So it's only the fear of death that makes us all the more fearful. This is how he got such a big realization, and he called himself a winner and won over this phobia. And now, what is I would like to say that when he was trying to face these ordeals of coming in terms with the water, his will to live grew stronger. It emerged very stronger, and he wanted to live. And then I told you that he went into many water bodies, and he tested it there that I'm able to do it. And then he could give us a lesson saying that if you have all these qualities which have been shown by him, the quality of being courageous, of having strong determination, of fortitude, of strong willpower, of perseverance. If all these you have, then nothing is going to stop from you from any endeavors. This is what he tells us. And I would like to add one more thing, is that all these lessons we learn when he tries to practically tell us what all had happened to him. So the theme of this story is justified in when he says all we have to fear is fear itself. When we overcome, when we subdue this fear, then nothing is going to worry you later. And then once again he says, then what is the sub theme of the story which you come across is that there is a psychoanalysis of this fear. This chapter deals with physical as well as psychological traumas that this writer faces. Physical, because he is physically as a very close to death, and psychological, there are so many sentences which tell you that he has got a psychological fear of this water. And so this chapter tries to tell you about the fear factor that William Douglas faced and how he finally overcame all these things. The fear of water, this hydrophobia, and how he later, in fact, in this book of Men in Mountains, he tells of all his, in fact, he was a very good adventurer. And in this book, he talks about all his adventures. And that was about the story. I hope you have understood the story very well. Now, we will do as usual. I'll be having a feedback from your side when you try to do the test. That I have made one more presentation for you, which is full of illustrations, and that will definitely help you more in understanding this one. Thanks for being with me.